Let me ask you something. When you close your eyes at night, when the world goes quiet and it's just you and the darkness, do you feel it? That weight, that whisper in your chest that says, I wasted another day. Maybe you don't say it out loud. Maybe you just feel it. That slow, sinking feeling, like sand slipping through your fingers. Another day, gone. Another promise you made to yourself, broken. And tomorrow you'll try again. Tomorrow will be different, because tomorrow you'll wake up the same person, in the same bed, in the same life. Unless you do the one thing that terrifies you most. You wake up when it's still dark. His name was Marcus. Nobody you'd remember if you passed him on the street. 28 years old, skinny, tired eyes, the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. He lived in a one-bedroom apartment on the south side, the kind of building where the hallway smells like cigarettes and old cooking oil, where the elevator's been broken for 6 months and nobody's coming to fix it. 3rd floor, no elevator. He didn't mind anymore. He'd stopped minding a lot of things. Marcus worked at a warehouse, loading trucks, stacking boxes. $8.75 an hour. He'd been there 5 years. 5 years. Same job, same pay, same concrete floor that made his knees ache by lunch, and every morning his alarm went off at 6:45 a.m. He'd hit snooze once, twice, sometimes 3 times. Then he'd drag himself out of bed, throw on the same worn-out hoodie, and stumble to the bus stop. The 7:30 bus. Always packed, always late. He'd stand there, squeezed between strangers who smelled like coffee and cologne, and hope. People who had somewhere to be, something to build, someone waiting for them. Marcus had none of that. He had a time card to punch, boxes to lift, and a check that barely covered rent. You know what poverty really is? It's not just being broke. It's being tired. Bone-deep, soul-crushing tired. It's working all day and having nothing to show for it except sore muscles and a bank account that laughs at you. It's coming home and collapsing on a couch that's older than you are, staring at a TV you got from a thrift store, watching other people live the life you dream about. It's your mom calling and asking if you're okay, and you lie because you can't tell her the truth. You can't tell her that you're 28 and you feel like you're drowning. You can't tell her that you don't know how you ended up here, stuck, spinning your wheels, going nowhere. You can't tell her that some nights you sit in the dark and wonder if this is it, if this is all you'll ever be. Marcus had a routine. Wake up late, rush, work, come home, eat something cheap, ramen, frozen pizza, whatever, scroll on his phone, watch videos of people who made it. Entrepreneurs, fitness guys, motivational speakers. He'd watch them and think, man, I wish that was me. But wishing doesn't build anything. Wishing is just a way to feel like you're doing something when you're doing nothing. And Marcus, he was doing nothing. He told himself he was too tired, too broke, too far behind. He told himself he'd start someday. Someday when he had more time. Someday when he had more money. Someday when he felt ready. But someday is a lie we tell ourselves so we don't have to face today. His little sister Nia was 16. Smart, real smart, straight A's. Teachers loved her. She wanted to go to college, study engineering.
But college costs money.
And Marcus, he could barely keep the lights on. One night, Nia came to him, sat down on the couch next to him while he was watching TV. She didn't say anything at first, just sat there. Then, real quiet, she said, Marcus, am I gonna make it out? He looked at her. What do you mean? Out of here, out of this place, out of this life. She wasn't crying. That's what broke him. She wasn't even crying. She just looked resigned, like she'd already accepted that dreams were for other people. Marcus opened his mouth to say something reassuring, something big brother and confident, but nothing came out. He was supposed to be her example, her proof that you could make it. And here he was, 28, broke, stuck. A warning, not an inspiration. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He just lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling like a failure. His sister's words replayed in his head over and over. Am I going to make it out? And the worst part, he didn't know. He didn't know if he was going to make it out. At 3:47 a.m., he got up, walked to the bathroom, looked at himself in the mirror, really looked. And he saw a stranger, a tired, defeated stranger who'd given up without even realizing it. His reflection stared back at him, and for the first time in years, Marcus felt something other than numbness. He felt angry. Not at the world, not at his boss or his circumstances or his luck. At himself, for wasting time, for making excuses, for letting days turn into weeks, turn into years of nothing. He gripped the edge of the sink and whispered, "No more." The next morning, his alarm went off at 6:45 like always, but this time, Marcus didn't hit snooze. He turned it off, and he set a new one. 4 a.m., he didn't know what he was going to do at 4 a.m. He just knew that if he kept waking up at 6:45, he'd keep being the same person. And that person wasn't going to save his sister. That person wasn't going to break the cycle. So he had to become someone else, and that someone else started at 4 a.m. That's where it begins. Not with money, not with connections, not with a lucky break. It begins in the dark. It begins with a choice that no one will see, no one will celebrate, and no one will understand. It begins when everyone else is asleep and you decide to wake up. The first morning, the alarm went off at 4 a.m. Marcus's hand shot out to turn it off before his brain even woke up. He lay there in the dark. Everything in him screamed to go back to sleep. His body was heavy. His bed was warm. And outside was cold and black and empty. Every part of him wanted to quit before he even started. But then he thought about Naya's face, that look of quiet defeat, and he swung his legs off the bed. Let me tell you what nobody tells you about waking up early. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel inspiring or powerful or like some movie montage. It feels like hell. Your body hates you. Your mind hates you. Everything in you says, "This is stupid. Go back to sleep. You need rest. You'll start tomorrow." But Marcus didn't listen. He stumbled to the bathroom, splashed cold water on his face. The shock of it made him gasp. He looked at the clock. 4:07 a.m. He had 2.5 hours before he had to leave for work. 2.5 hours that used to disappear into sleep and rushing and stress. Now they were his. But here's the thing. He didn't know what to do with them. He stood in his tiny kitchen, staring at the coffee pot. His mind was foggy. His thoughts scattered. "Okay," he whispered to himself. "Okay, you're up. Now what?" He pulled out his phone, opened YouTube, typed, "How to change your life." Thousands of videos, millions of views. Everyone had an answer. 10 habits of successful people. Morning routine of millionaires. How I became a CEO before 30. Marcus scrolled and scrolled and scrolled, and suddenly it hit him. He was wasting time. He'd woken up early just to do the same thing he did every night, watching other people's lives instead of building his own. He put the phone down. Marcus realized something that morning. Waking up early isn't magic. It's just time. Empty time. And empty time is either a gift or a trap. Because if you wake up at 4 a.m. and waste it, you're just tired and unproductive. You need a system, a plan, something that turns those quiet hours into tools that actually... So Marcus made a deal with himself. Every morning, same thing. No negotiation. 4 a.m. to 6:30 a.m., 2.5 hours. Split into 3 parts. 4 o'clock to 4:45 a.m. 45 minutes. He didn't have money for a gym. Didn't matter. Push-ups, sit-ups, squats, burpees. In his living room, in the dark. No music, no distractions. Just him and the burn. Because poverty isn't just about money, it's about energy. And if you're tired, weak, sluggish, you can't fight, you can't climb, you can't win. So he decided every morning he'd make his body stronger, even if it was just 1 push-up more than yesterday. 4:45 to 6 a.m., 1 hour and 15 minutes. He didn't need a degree for that, but he wasn't planning to be there forever. He needed a skill, something valuable, something people would pay for. So he taught himself. He started with free courses online, graphic design, video editing, coding. He didn't know which one would work. Didn't matter. He just knew that every morning he had to learn something, even if he didn't understand it, even if it felt impossible. Even if he wanted to give up, he sat at his cracked kitchen table with his old laptop, and he learned. 1 tutorial, 1 lesson, 1 step forward. Because here's the truth, skills compound. You don't see it the first day or the first week, but 6 months from now, a year from now, you'll be a completely different person. Not because of one big moment, but because of 1,000 small ones, all stacked, all built in the dark, all built at 4 a.m., 6 o'clock to 6:30 a.m., 30 minutes. Marcus would sit with a notebook, a cheap one, dollar store, didn't matter. And he'd write 3 things: what he learned that morning, what he'd do today to move forward, one thing he was grateful for. That last one felt stupid at first. Grateful? For what? He was broke, stuck, struggling, but he wrote it anyway. Grateful my sister is smart. Grateful I woke up. Grateful I have another chance. Small things, tiny things. But over time, those tiny things started to shift something inside him. They reminded him that even in the mess, even in the struggle, he wasn't at zero. He had something, and something is enough to start. The first week was brutal. Day 2, Marcus almost quit. His alarm went off. He reached for it. And he thought, why am I doing this? Nothing's changed. I'm still broke. I'm still tired. He lay there for 3 minutes, staring at the ceiling. Then he got up, not because he wanted to, because he'd made a promise. Day 4, he fell asleep during his learning session. Just passed out, face on the table. Woke up at 5:50 with drool on his notebook. He wanted to cry, wanted to scream, but he didn't. He wiped his face, made coffee, and kept going. Day 7, his body was wrecked. His arms shook during pushing. His legs burned. He could barely walk to the bus stop. His co-workers noticed. Yo, Marcus, you good? You look like death. He just nodded, didn't explain. Because how do you explain that you're killing yourself every morning for a future that doesn't exist yet? How do you explain that you're betting everything on a version of yourself you've never met? You don't. You just keep going. Week 2, something small happened. Marcus did 10 more push-ups than week 1, just 10. But he noticed. Week 3, he finished his first online course, a basic intro to graphic design. Nothing fancy, but he finished it. He had a certificate, a digital one, free, meaningless to most people. But to Marcus, it was proof. Proof that he could start something and finish it. Proof that the person he was becoming was real. Week 5, Nia noticed. She came into the living room one morning at 6 a.m., saw Marcus at the table with his laptop and notebook. You're up early, she said. Yeah? Every day? Every day. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. Just a little. That's cool. She went back to her room. And Marcus sat there, staring at his notebook, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Pride. Not in what he'd accomplished, but in who he was becoming. Here's what they don't tell you about change. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. It doesn't happen in a flash of inspiration or a viral video or a motivational speech. It happens in the quiet. At 4 a.m. when no one's watching, when no one's cheering, when it's just you and the choice to keep going, that's where transformation lives. Not in the highlight reel, in the dark. Day 30, 1 month, Marcus stood in front of the bathroom mirror at 4:05 a.m., just like he did every morning. But something was different. His eyes looked sharper. Not happy, not confident yet, but awake, actually awake. Like someone had turned a light on inside him that had been up. He'd lost 8 pounds. Not from dieting, just from moving every morning. His arms had definition he'd never seen before. But the real change, you couldn't see it. It was in the way he stood, the way he walked to the bus stop, like he had somewhere to be, like he mattered. Because for the first time in years, he believed he did. Day 42, Marcus finished his 3rd online course, this time video editing. He'd been practicing on his phone, cutting together little clips, nothing fancy, just learning, just building. One night after work, he posted on a freelance website, "We'll edit your videos, $20. $20. Barely anything. He posted it and forgot about it. 2 days later, someone messaged him. A small business owner needed a 30-second promo video edited. Marcus's hands were shaking when he replied. He did the job. Took him 4 hours. Made mistakes. Redid it twice. But he finished it. The client paid him $20. Marcus stared at the notification on his phone. $20 he'd earned not from lifting boxes, but from a skill he'd taught himself at 4 a.m. in the dark while everyone else was asleep. He didn't tell anyone, not his co-workers, not his mom, not even Nia. He just sat on his couch that night holding his phone and cried. not sad tears, relief. Because for the first time since he could remember, he felt like he had a chance. Like maybe, just maybe, he wasn't going to be stuck forever. Day 60. More clients. $5 jobs. $10 jobs. $50 jobs. Marcus worked every spare minute. Mornings before work, nights after work. He was exhausted, but it was a different kind of exhaustion. Not the numb, soul-crushing tired from the warehouse. This was the burn of building something, and it felt good. His co-workers started asking questions. Why are you always on that laptop, man? You good? You never hang out anymore. Marcus just smiled, shrugged, just working on something. They didn't get it, and that was fine, because they were still hitting snooze. Still complaining about being broke, still waiting for life to change. Marcus had stopped waiting. Day 75. Marcus made $240 that week from freelance work, more than he made at the warehouse in a week. He stared at his bank account. It wasn't much, not enough to quit his job, not enough to relax. But it was proof that the system worked, proof that waking up at 4 a.m. wasn't just some motivational fantasy. It was real, and it was working. Day 90. 3 months. Marcus woke up at 4 a.m. like he always did. But this time, he didn't need the alarm. His body woke him up. He got up, did his workout, 45 minutes, didn't skip a single rep. Sat down at his laptop, finished a client project, then started learning motion graphics. By 6:30, he'd done more than most people do all day, and he still had a full day ahead of him. At the warehouse, his supervisor pulled him aside. Marcus, you've been doing good work lately. You want some extra shifts? Marcus looked at him. 6 months ago, he would have said yes. Needed the money, needed the hours, but now, actually, Marcus said slowly, I'm gonna need to cut back my hours. His supervisor blinked. Cut back? Why? I got another opportunity I'm working on. It wasn't a lie. That week, Marcus had made $400 freelancing in 1 week. He wasn't rich, wasn't even close, but he could see it now, the path, the way out, and he was on it. That night, Nia came home from school. She dropped her backpack and sat on the couch, exhausted. Marcus was at the kitchen table working on his laptop. She watched him for a minute. Then she said, Marcus? Yeah? You're different. He looked up. Different how? She thought about it. I don't know. You seem like you're going somewhere now. Marcus felt his throat tighten. He closed his laptop, walked over, sat next to her. Nia, he said quietly, you asked me if you were going to make it out. Remember? She nodded. I didn't have an answer then, but I do now. She looked at him. You're gonna make it, he said, because I'm gonna make it, and I'm gonna show you how. Nia's eyes filled with tears, and for the first time in a long time, they weren't tears of fear. They were tears of hope. So let me ask you something. You, right now, watching this, listening to this, do you want to know the secret? The real secret to how Marcus changed his life? It wasn't talent. It wasn't luck. It wasn't money or connections or some perfect. It was one decision every single morning. At 4 a.m., when his bed was warm and the world was dark and every part of him wanted to quit, he got up anyway. That's it. That's the whole secret. He got up. See, most people want transformation. They want the success, the money, the freedom, the respect. But they don't want the 4 a.m. They don't want the cold floors and the tired eyes and the lonely mornings when nobody's watching. They want the result without the process. And that's why most people stay stuck. Because transformation doesn't happen in the light. It happens when you're the only one awake, when you're the only one working, when you're the only one who believes in the person you're becoming. Marcus is still going, still waking up at 4 a.m. 6 months in now. He quit the warehouse. Not because he's rich, he's not, but because his freelance income passed his warehouse pay. He's working toward his own business now, his own clients, his own future. And Nia, she wakes up at 5 a.m. now, studying, working, building, because she watched her brother transform. And she realized, if he can do it, so can she. So here's my question for you. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when you're ready, right now. Are you willing to do what Marcus did? Are you willing to set that alarm for 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or whatever time is early for you and actually get up? Are you willing to feel like garbage for the first 2 weeks? Are you willing to work in silence while everyone else sleeps? Are you willing to build something when there's no guarantee it'll work? Because here's the truth. Nobody's coming to save you. No perfect opportunity. No lucky break. No magic moment. The only thing that's going to save you is you, and the only time you have is now. 6 months from now, you're going to wake up. The question is, who will you be? Will you be the same person you are today? Tired, stuck, making excuses? Or will you be someone different? Someone stronger, sharper, closer to the life you actually want? That person exists, but they don't exist at 7 a.m. They don't exist in the snooze button. They exist at 4 a.m. in the dark, in the quiet, in the hours that nobody sees. So tonight, before you go to sleep, set your alarm, not for your normal time, earlier, an hour earlier, 2 hours earlier. And tomorrow morning, when it goes off, don't think, don't negotiate. Don't lie to yourself and say you'll start Monday. Just get up. Get up and do something. 10 push-ups, 1 lesson, 1 page written. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. Because that's how it starts. Not with a plan, not with motivation, with a choice. A choice you make in the dark when no one's watching, when no one will ever know, except you and the person you're becoming. Marcus used to be nobody. Now he's somebody. Not because the world changed, but because he did. One morning at a time, one choice at a time, one 4 a.m. at a time. And if he can do it,